Hello again. This is University of St. Thomas's Math 005 Lesson 1 Part 2. We were talking briefly about being able to factor things apart, and I want to just kind of touch on some kinds of groupings of numbers that we have, and then talk specifically about the definition about prime and composite. And then we're going to go through the process of breaking down those numbers that are composite. Alright, so the simplest ones are counting numbers, and this is like if you ask a little kid to start counting. They're going to start at 1 and keep going up by 1. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. Whole numbers, the concept of 0 is a tough one, at least initially. So whole numbers include 0. And all of the counting numbers. So that's really the big difference, is the fact that 0 is included in whole numbers. And then integers are whole numbers and their opposites, which means they're negative values. So we would have, from negative whatever all the way up through negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. All right. So knowing that, let's talk about what prime is. Prime says they're whole numbers greater than 1 with no factors other than 1 and itself. All right, we're actually going to figure out what some of those are here in a moment. We're going to do a very brief version of the sieve of Eratosthenes, and then we're going to have we're going to break down some composite numbers, and we'll go from there. So hopefully this will make a lot of sense here in just a moment as to whether or not something is prime or not. Alright, let me go ahead and scoot this up just a little bit. Alright, so for the sieve of Eratosthenes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going to do this in rows of 10. So I've got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and I'm only going to go up to 30. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. And it's kind of messy, but we'll go with it anyway. Alright, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to start with, we'll start with any number greater than 1. So we're going to go ahead. 2 is a prime number. Okay, so now anything that has a multiple of 2 is not a prime number. It's a composite number. So 2, 6, 8, 10, and all of those multiples, right? Anything that ends in a 2, 4, 6, or 0, those are all multiples of 2. Oops, I did one that I shouldn't have. That's 18. And then 19, I'm going to have to erase that. Alright, so that, go ahead and then there. So at this point, we've already eliminated a whole bunch of numbers up through 30 as being potential primes. Okay, now the sieve of Eratosthenes only lets us know what could be prime. It doesn't necessarily say it is prime, but this becomes really good at that, especially in the lower numbers, like below 100. You get pretty much everything if you do this well. Alright, so 3 I can't do anything with except 1 and 3. So now anything that is a multiple of 3 is now gone. Okay, so 6 is already gone, 9, 12 is gone, 15 is gone, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. All right, so now we've eliminated a bunch more. Our next one, 4 is already eliminated. Let's take a look. 5, 10s, all of those 10s. Yep, we've got one more that we can get rid of. So there's my 5s. 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. Those are all cleared out. So 7, 6 is already gone. 7, you can only factor it down to itself, 7 and 1. Okay, so this one's also prime, which means that 14, 21, and 28 are not prime, right? Because they're multiples of 7. All right, so now we've got 11. 11 doesn't factor to anything other than 1 and itself, so 22 would be gone, and any multiples of that. 13, there's nothing else other than 13 and 1, so that would give us a 26 that's gone. 17, that's also prime. 19, that's a prime. 23 is a prime. And 29 is prime. So you can see it doesn't take very long for you to kind of zoom in on what numbers would be prime. So here we have 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. All right, and so these are prime numbers, just right out of the gate. We know that already. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's start breaking these guys down, determine whether or not they're prime or not, and if they're not prime, we're going to start breaking them down. I'm going to try and keep the videos under 10 minutes so that you're able to kind of just work with them as they come. But I want to just make certain that folks are kind of getting what they need here. Want it in small enough doses that it's not going to be too boring anyway. All right, I'll be back.